Evening. So for tonight, we are going to discuss a problem demonstrating the effect of fixed and variable cost to the cost per unit of product. Okay? So by now you already know that a variable cost is a cost which is constant per unit, but the total variable cost varies directly with the changes in the level of activity. As for our fixed cost naman, the fixed cost per unit is inversely related, 'di ba? Varies inversely with the changes in activity, whereas the total fixed cost remains the same within the relevant range. Okay? So, to further discuss, 'di ba, what is the effect of this variable and fixed classification of cost to our total cost and the product cost per unit, 'di ba, we will use the following problem lifted from cost accounting book of Rayborn and Kenny. So let us read. Celestial Delights prepares meals for several airlines and sales average 300,000 meals per month. The significant costs of each meal prepared are for the meat, vegetables, and plastic trays and utensils. No desserts are provided because the airlines are concerned about cost control. The company prepares meals in batches of 1,000. The following data are shown in the company's accounting records for June 2010. So, in my Excel file here, I have copied the cost per batch kasi nga the company manufactures the food in batches of 1,000. So, it is also mentioned in the problem that monthly overhead charges amount to 2,400,000 and are fully fixed. Company management has asked you to answer the following items. So the first requirement is to compute for the cost per meal based on average sales and June prices. Okay? So for the first requirement, what I want to do here first is to compute for the per unit, 'di ba? Kasi as mentioned, this cost is for 1,000 meals. So gusto kong malaman ngayon how much is the cost of meat for one meal. Okay? So for one meal, so we simply divide the cost 1,800 by 1,000. So we'll get 1.8. This is the cost of meat per vegetables, for meat rather, vegetable, plastic tray, and direct labor cost. So we have 1.8, 0.72, 0.24, and 1.9 respectively. Diba? So, we will label this as the total variable cost. Okay? So, here we have, syempre yung sum nito, we call this the total variable cost per batch. And then, the sum of this column naman is the total variable cost per meal. Okay, so we have 4.66. However, let us not forget that there is an overhead charge of 2.4 million per month, which is considered as fully fixed, no? So when it comes to the factory overhead, diba, sorry, yung factory overhead natin, we have a total of 2.4 million. Okay? So for a while, ayusin lang natin yung format. This one too. Okay. So, as mentioned earlier, 4 decimal places tayo, no, as we have discussed. So we have 2.4 million. This is our factory overhead. And we will allocate this over the sales average of 300,000 meals per month. Okay? So, meals per month is equal to 300,000 meals. Oh, I'm sorry. 300,000 meals. And therefore, when we divide, diba, so simply divide 2.4 million by 300,000, we'll get 8 pesos. This is our fixed cost per unit. So, the total cost per unit is simply the sum of, sum of what? yung 4.66 natin, which is the total variable cost variable cost per unit, and then sum of the fixed cost per unit. So we have 12.66. Okay, so this is our final answer. This is for letter A. For letter A. Okay? Sige. Now, what about requirement B? So for requirement B, sabi naman dyan, if sales increase to 4,000 meals per month, what will be the cost per meal? Assuming that the cost behavior patterns remain the same as in June. So I have to transfer this here, okay? So, what should we do now? O di basically, for letter B, diba? Our total variable cost or the variable cost per meal will be the same. Diba? Kasi nga, ano nga bang characteristic ng variable cost? The variable cost per unit is constant. Diba? It will not change. So, yan pa rin yun, 4.66. However, as far as the fixed cost per unit, diba? As far as the fixed cost per meal, our computation will be a little bit different. Kasi, so what we're going to do here is we are going to divide the factory overhead of 2.4 million. Diba? So, I'll just copy this here para mas makita ninyo. So, 2.4 million, instead of dividing this by 300,000, we will divide this by 400. Diba? Kasi nga, as the level of activity increases, syempre tumataas yung level of activity. And therefore, there are more meals shouldering the fixed factory overhead cost. Okay? So, we simply divide 2.4 by, sorry. We divide 2.4 by, okay, I'm sorry. Ano bang ginagawa ko? Ulit. We divide 2.4 million by 400,000 and we'll get 6. So, if the number of meals prepared and sold for the month per month increases to 400,000, our total cost per unit will be equal to how much? We have 6 pesos plus 4.6 pesos will get 10.66. So, observe, diba, that the total cost per meal decreases by 2 pesos because of the increase in the number of meals prepared per month. Kasi nga, as mentioned, diba, itong variable cost per meal natin is constant. Walang problema dyan. Hindi talaga siya magbabago. But the fixed cost per meal will really change depending on the level of activity. So, dito nakita natin that from 300,000, pag tinaas siya to 400, diba, the fixed cost per unit will decrease from 8 pesos to 6 pesos. So, we will have a 2 peso decrease in our per unit fixed cost. Okay? So, do you understand? O, i-pause nyo na kung nabibilisan kayo and then repeat it again and again. Okay? Sige. So, we go to letter C. So, sana wag kayong mahilo. But for letter C, so, sabi dyan, assume that sales increase to 400,000 meals per month. Celestial Delights wants the per unit cost to remain the same as was computed in Part A. By how much can the company increase its per unit spending for meat, assuming all other costs remain constant? Okay? So, sige, anong gusto niyang pagawa sa atin ngayon? And by the way, before we continue, what we're doing right now is called the sensitivity analysis. So, in your subsequent accounting course, I think the strategic cost management strategic cost management course, tuturuan kayo doon how to compute for the profit, 'di ba? Yung tinatawag natin cost, volume, and profit analysis. So basically, we look at the effect of the changes in volume, volume, dun sa profit natin. So pag pinalitan natin yung cost, dinecrease natin, what will be the effect in the profit? Pag tinaasan natin yung volume sold, ano magiging effect niya sa profit? So we call it the sensitivity analysis as well. So, itong ginawa natin na to, for letter D, di ba? This is a sensitivity analysis also. So, until letter E, yun naman ang gagawin. Talagang sensitivity analysis yan. Now, going back to the requirement of the problem, basically, what the problem wants us to do is to determine how much can they increase the cost, di ba? By how much can the company increase its per unit spending for meat, assuming all other costs remain constant. So, basically, 400,000 na yung magiging needs per month, but they want to have the same total cost per unit as letter A. So, if that is the case, ano lang gagawin natin dito? O, the total, we will simply deduct yung total cost per meal based on 300,000 meals, diba? So, we'll get how much? Ito na yon. Okay? And then, babawas natin dito yung total cost per meal based on 400,000 meals sold. Diba? So, we'll have 10.6. So, we get the difference, which is equal to, I think this is 2 pesos. Okay? So, basically, we can increase the cost of meat, diba? Or we can increase our spending for meat by 2 pesos para mas malaki yung portions niya. And then, we will retain the same total cost per unit as we have during the time that we only produce 300,000 meals. Okay? So, nakakuha nyo ba? Please read the questions carefully, okay? Kasi yun lang naman yung kailangan nyong gawin. Siyempre, aside from studying hard, of course. Okay? Sige, pag di maintindihan, pause, repeat. Kaya nga tayo nag-video para kung di maintindihan, ulit-ulitin niya siya. Okay? So, for letter D, medyo mahaba na onte, so bear with me. The company's major competitor has a bid price of 21.92 per meal to the airlines. Okay? The profit margin in the industry is 100% of total cost. If Celestial Delights is to retain the airline's business, how many meals must the company produce each month to reach the bid price of the competitor and maintain the 100% profit margin? Assume June cost patterns will not change and meals must be produced in batches of 1,000. So, medyo mas gumulo na onte or may gagawin na naman tayong kakaiba, no? Ano nangyari? May competitor, si Celestial Delights. And then, the competitor is offering their meals to the airline at 21.92. So, now, gustong malaman ng company, di ba? Kung how much yung how many meals should we produce so that we can have or we can have the same bid price for the for each meal, which is 21.92 nga. Okay? Sige, so what the first thing we're going to do is to syempre start with the selling price of the competitor. So, how much is the selling price of the competitor? We have 21.92. And then, of course, for food at sellers kasi, talagang mataas yung margin nila kasi prone din sa spoilage yung food, diba? So, sabi dyan na meron daw profit margin which is 100% of cost. So, ito yung cost and then this is the margin or gross profit. So, if the profit margin is 100% of cost, so to compute for the gross profit, we will simply divide the selling price by 2. Okay? And then, to compute for the cost, or get the difference between the selling price and the gross profit. So, our cost, diba, to be able to compete with the other company, diba, to be able to compete with the other company and retain our profit margin, our cost should be at 10.96. 10.96. Okay? Sige. So, ano gagawin natin ngayon? So, kung gusto mo siyang maging 10.96, this is your goal, by the way. So, lagyan natin ng lista yan. 10.96. So, syempre, alam naman natin that the total cost has a fixed and a variable component. So, the variable cost per meal will not change. Pareho pa rin yan. Diba? So, lagay natin siya dyan. Variable cost per meal is, sorry, nag-iba. No? Pero anyway, kopyahin ko na lang din dito. The variable cost per meal is 4.66. Okay? Now, this time, we are not looking for the total cost per unit, 'di ba? This time, ang hinahanap natin we already know how much is the total cost per unit. Actually, we have computed this at 10.96 nga, 'di ba? Sabi natin dapat ayan yung total cost per unit mo. So, you already have your variable cost here, 'di ba? You already have your total cost. Ang nawawala na lang is the fixed cost per meal natin. So, the fixed cost per meal, di ba, we will compute for the fixed cost per meal by getting the difference between the total cost per meal and the variable cost per meal. So, yun yung difference natin, 6.3 million. 6.3 per unit. I'm sorry. 6.3 per unit. Dapat yan po yung fixed cost natin per meal. So, ngayon, we're not yet done. Kasi nga ang tinatanong, how many meals, 'di ba, should we produce? How many meals should we produce? Remember, how do we compute for the fixed cost per meal? 'Di ba? O going back, ito yung nagiging formula natin, 'di ba? So, factory overhead divided by the number of meals produced and sold for the month equals the fixed cost per unit. 'Di ba? So, let us copy this formula. So, gawin natin siya. This time, ito, yung meals per month ang missing. Kasi yan nga yung hinahanap natin eh. This will be the final answer. So, if we want our fixed cost per meal to be at 6.33, diba? Tapos 2.4 million yung total fixed factory overhead natin. O, we simply divide. 2.4 million divided by 6.3 million will get 380,952 units. Okay? So basically, in order to arrive at the same bid price as our competitor, which is 21.92, 'di ba? Our total cost must be at 10.96 so that the gross profit percentage or the gross profit rate will still be preserved at 100% of cost. Okay? So, to be able to do that, the company has to produce and sell 380,952 units. So, medyo butal talaga siya. Okay?